The evening in suburban Ohio was cool, carrying the scent of damp leaves and diesel from trucks rumbling along the nearby highway. The neon sign of the Crestview flickered, casting light on the cracked asphalt of the parking lot. Michael Keaton, the 73-year-old actor, had just parked his old pickup after a 12-hour drive from Pittsburgh. His flannel shirt, worn jeans, and leather jacket smelled of sweat and motor oil, traces of a long journey. With a duffel bag slung over his shoulder, he headed toward the lobby, dreaming of a shower and a bed. Inside, the lobby was a relic of faded glory, yellowed wallpaper, a sagging couch, and the smell of burnt coffee. Behind the counter stood Gary, a clerk with slicked-back hair and a scrutinizing gaze. "A room for the night," Michael said, his gravelly voice warm despite his fatigue. Gary grimaced. "You smell like you slept in your car. We have standards. Try the motel down the road." Michael froze. "You're kicking me out because of how I smell? After driving all day." "Rules are rules," Gary snapped, shrugging. The door chimed, and a couple in matching fleece vests, Ed and Carol, in their 60s, entered. They exchanged a glance as Gary nodded to them, as if assuring them he had everything under control. Michael clenched his fists, but kept his voice calm. "You're making assumptions without knowing me. You think he nodded at the couple, would back you up?" Gary snorted. "They'll thank me. I've been here 20 years. Carol clutched her purse awkwardly. Ed cleared his throat. "Gary, isn't this a bit much? The guy looks tired." Michael seized the moment. "I don't want to fight. Let's talk. About why you think it's okay to humiliate people. About what that says about you. About this place." Silence fell, broken only by the hum of fluorescent lights. Gary's face reddened, but he didn't respond. Ed stepped closer. "What's your name?" "Mike," Michael said, withholding his true identity. Saying Michael Keaton, Batman star, would have been easy, but it felt dishonest. Main plot. The tension in the lobby grew thick, like the air before storm. Michael leaned against the counter, his gaze steady but not hostile. He could feel Ed and Carol's eyes on him, waiting for his next move. Gary, red-faced, clutched a key card for the couple, his hand trembling. Michael's words about humiliation, about values, had struck a deeper chord than a mere argument over odor. "Talk," Gary repeated, his voice quivering with irritation. "Who are you to lecture me? I'm doing my job." "And I'm doing mine," Michael replied softly. "My job is understanding people. And I see you're not just following rules. You've decided I don't belong here." "Why?" Gary scoffed, but his eyes darted nervously. "You smell like a vagrant. Guests complain about that." "I'm protecting their comfort." "Comfort?" Michael raised an eyebrow. "What about their comfort when you yell at your coworkers? I heard you barking at the girl at the counter when she was rushing to get coffee. Is that part of your standards?" Carol flinched, her gaze flicking to the young employee who'd just emerged from the back room. The girl's name tag read Lisa. Her eyes were red, as if she'd been wiping away tears. Ed frowned, his hand gently touching his wife's shoulder. "Is that true, Gary?" Ed asked. "You're yelling at your staff?" Gary's lips tightened. "She's new. Slow. I'm teaching her to work faster." "You're breaking her," Michael said sharply. "I saw her running, trying to keep up. And you stand here deciding who's worthy of a room and who isn't. Maybe the problem isn't her. Or me." Lisa, hearing this, paused by the coffee machine, her hands trembling. She looked at Michael, as if unable to believe someone was standing up for her. Gary noticed her glance and snapped, "Lisa, get back to work." "Enough," Michael said, his voice firmer but not loud. "You don't get to yell at her in front of us. And you don't get to kick me out without explaining why you think you're the judge." Ed nodded, his voice gaining strength. "He's right, Gary. You're going too far. This man just wants a room. And the girl, she's trying. Why are you like this?" Gary took a step back, his confidence crumbling. "You don't understand. If I let him in, there'll be complaints tomorrow. The owner will have my head. And if you don't, Michael said, you'll lose more than one guest. You'll lose respect. Theirs, he nodded at Ed and Carol, and your own. Carol, who'd been silent, spoke up. You know, Gary, Ed and I come here every year because it's convenient. But if this is how you treat people, I'm not sure I'll want to come back. Her words hit Gary like a thunderclap. He glanced at Lisa, who stood with her eyes downcast, then at Michael, whose calm strength seemed to fill the room. The lobby felt smaller, the walls closing in under the weight of the moment. Michael sensed it was time to shift tactics. He didn't want to humiliate Gary. That would accomplish nothing. Instead, he spoke more gently. Gary, I don't know what kind of day you've had. Maybe you're as tired as I am. Maybe you're dealing with a lot. But when you kick me out or yell at Lisa, you're not solving those problems. You're creating new ones. Let's do this differently. Give me a room. Give Lisa 5 minutes to catch her breath. And talk to me like a person, not an enemy. Gary blinked, his anger mingling with confusion. He looked at Ed and Carol, who now watched him expectantly. Lisa lifted her eyes, her face a mix of fear and hope. I can't just do that, Gary muttered. There are rules. Rules are made by people, Michael said. And people can change them. You can. Right now. Ed nodded. Gary, give him a chance. And for God's sake, give the girl a break. We'll wait. Gary stood clutching the key card, his gaze darting between Michael, the couple, and Lisa. Outside, a truck horn blared, and the neon sign flickered again, casting shadows across his face. In that moment, he looked not like a stern clerk, but like a man at a crossroads. Michael waited, his heart steady. He knew this moment wasn't just about him or a room. It was about something bigger, how small actions could shift perspectives, how dialogue could chip away at walls of prejudice. He didn't know what Gary would choose, but he felt that this evening at the Crestview Inn would never be forgotten. Gary stood behind the counter, gripping the key card so tightly his knuckles turned white. His eyes darted between Michael, Ed, Carol, and Lisa, who stood frozen by the coffee machine, clutching a rag in trembling hands. Michael's words about rules, people, and respect hung in the air like the echo of thunder. Gary opened his mouth, but no words came. He glanced at Ed, whose posture now radiated impatience, and at Carol, whose eyes were filled with doubt. Lisa, noticing his gaze, lowered her head, as if afraid any movement would draw attention to her. The tension in the room was so thick it could be cut with a knife. Michael stood calmly, hands in the pockets of his worn leather jacket. He didn't raise his voice or threaten, but his presence filled the space. His eyes, deep and expressive as they had been in his best years on screen, seemed to see right through Gary. So Gary, Michael asked quietly, are we going to talk, or are you calling security? Gary swallowed hard, his face a mix of anger and confusion. You don't understand, he muttered. If I let you in and someone complains, I'm done. The owner of this place. He doesn't tolerate problems. The owner, Michael repeated, his voice softer but laced with subtle irony. Tell me about him. What's he like? Gary shrugged, his tone turning bitter. Tough. Doesn't take mistakes. If I screw up, he'll toss me out like garbage. All of us. Lisa flinched at this, and Michael noticed her fingers tighten around the rag. Ed and Carol exchanged a glance, their faces showing a mix of sympathy and unease. Michael nodded, as if weighing Gary's words, then took a step closer to the counter. Tough, huh? His smile was faint but carried strength. What if I told you I know the owner? That I could talk to him? Gary snorted, though a flicker of doubt crossed his eyes. Yeah, right. You, the guy who smells like a gas station, know the owner of Crestview? Go on, tell me a fairy tale. Michael didn't react to the jab. Instead, he turned to Lisa, who still stood off to the side, and asked gently, Lisa, how long have you been working here? She blinked, startled to be addressed. 3 months, she replied softly, her voice trembling. And how's it been for you? Michael continued, his tone warm, almost fatherly. Lisa glanced at Gary, as if afraid to say the wrong thing, then sighed. It's tough. Gary. He's always unhappy. I try but... Her voice broke, and she lowered her eyes. Michael nodded, then turned back to Gary. You hear that? She's trying. And instead of supporting her, you yell at her. And you kick me out because I don't meet your standards. You know what I think? Your standards are just a way to justify your own anger. Gary's jaw clenched. You've got no right to talk like that. You're nobody. Nobody. Michael raised an eyebrow, then slowly pulled a wallet from his pocket. He took out a business card, simple, black text on white, and placed it on the counter. Read it. Gary frowned, but picked up the card. His eyes scanned the text, and suddenly his face went pale. He blinked, then again, as if unable to believe what he saw. The card read, Michael Keaton, owner, Crestview Properties, LLC. You're joking, Gary stammered, his voice shaking. This is fake. Michael shook his head. Call your manager. Or better yet, the regional director. They'll confirm. Lisa, still by the coffee machine, let out a quiet gasp, her eyes widening in shock. Ed and Carol, watching the scene, exchanged a look. The owner? Ed asked, his voice full of disbelief. You're serious? Michael nodded. I bought this hotel 5 years ago. Wanted to make it a place where everyone feels welcome. But it seems my managers haven't been following my vision. His gaze locked onto Gary. And you, Gary, just proved why. Gary stepped back, his hands trembling. I didn't know, sir, I thought. You thought you could decide who's worthy and who isn't, Michael cut in sharply. And you made Lisa feel worthless. That's not what I pay my staff to do. Lisa lifted her eyes, her face a mix of fear and hope. She took a step forward, as if wanting to say something, but Michael raised a hand to stop her. Lisa, you're staying, he said more softly. I can see you're trying, but you need a better boss. He turned to Gary. You're fired, and I'll be talking to the regional director. Anyone who shares your standards will be gone with you. Gary staggered, as if struck. You can't. I've been here 20 years. And in 20 years, you never learned to respect people, Michael replied. His voice was calm but unyielding. Get your things. You have 1 hour. Carol, still clutching her purse, let out a quiet gasp. Oh my God, she whispered. Ed placed a hand on her shoulder, his face showing a mix of shock and approval. That's the right call, Ed said, looking at Michael. You did the human thing, Mike. Or Mr. Keaton. Michael smiled, but his eyes remained serious. Just Mike. He turned to Lisa. You'll be fine. I'll make sure you have a better manager. And, he looked at Ed and Carol, I hope you'll come back. This hotel will be better. I promise. Lisa nodded, her eyes shining with tears, but this time from gratitude. Thank you, she whispered. Gary, still stunned, grabbed his jacket and headed to the back room, muttering under his breath. The door slammed behind him, and the lobby fell silent. Michael took a deep breath, feeling the tension ease. He looked at Lisa, Ed, and Carol, who gazed at him with a mix of awe and respect. Outside, the neon sign flickered again, casting a soft glow across his face. Well, he said, his voice lighter, looks like I still need that room. And Lisa, grab yourself a coffee. You've earned it. Lisa smiled for the first time that evening and nodded. Ed and Carol chuckled, and Michael felt warmth spread through his chest. This was just the beginning. The changes at Crestview Inn were only starting, and he was ready to make this place what it was meant to be, a home for everyone who walked through its doors. The lobby of the Crestview Inn still buzzed with tension, though Gary had vanished behind the back room door, his footsteps echoing dully like the final notes of a failed melody. The neon sign outside flickered, casting trembling light on the yellowed wallpaper, while the smell of burnt coffee mingled with cool air drifting through the open door. Michael Keaton stood by the counter, his posture calm, but his eyes burning with quiet resolve. Lisa, the young employee, still clutched her rag, her face glowing with a mix of shock and relief. Ed and Carol, the couple in fleece vests, looked at Michael with respect, their suitcases forgotten at their feet. "So," Michael said, his gravelly voice breaking the silence, "I guess I'll take that room after all." He smiled, and that smile, warm and slightly ironic, eased the atmosphere. Lisa blinked, as if snapping out of a trance, and hurried behind the counter. "Yes, of course, sir. I mean, Mike." Her fingers trembled as she typed into the old computer, but her eyes shone with gratitude. I don't know how to thank you." "Just your job," Michael replied, leaning on the counter. "And call me Mike." "No, sir." Ed laughed, his rough voice filling the lobby. "You're a good man, Mike. Not everyone would have handled it like that." He glanced at Carol, who nodded, her face softening. "We'll be back," Carol said quietly. "If you really change this place, we'll be back." Michael nodded, his gaze growing serious. "I'm not just changing this place. I'm making it what it was always meant to be, a place where everyone feels at home." Lisa handed him a key card, her movements hesitant but filled with new energy. "Here, room 214. The best we've got." She paused, then added, "Are you really the owner?" Michael took the card, his fingers brushing hers, and he gave her hand a gentle squeeze, as if to encourage her. "I am. But I'm not the kind of owner who sits in an office signing papers. I want this place to live, and I want people like you to breathe easy here." She smiled, and this time it was genuine, free of fear. Ed and Carol grabbed their suitcases, heading to the counter to check in. The lobby slowly came back to life, soft chatter, the clink of keys, the rustle of papers. But something had shifted. The air felt lighter, as if an invisible weight that had oppressed this place had dissolved. The next morning, Michael woke in room 214, a simple but clean space with faded curtains and the smell of old carpet. Sunlight slipped through a gap in the curtains, casting golden streaks across the wooden floor. He got up, took a shower, feeling the hot water wash away not just the road grime, but the tension of the previous night. Dressed in a fresh shirt and jeans, he headed downstairs with a clear plan. Lisa was at the counter, this time holding a cup of coffee. Her face looked fresher, though dark circles under her eyes still hinted at months of stress. Seeing Michael, she straightened. "Morning, Mike. Want some coffee?" "Absolutely," he replied, taking the cup she offered. "But first tell me, who's in charge here besides Gary?" Lisa hesitated. "Well, there's the regional manager, Mr. Clayton. He comes by once a month. And there's Jen, the shift manager. She's good, but Gary always overrode her." Michael nodded, sipping his coffee. "Call Jen. And Clayton. We're having a meeting today." Lisa blinked. "Right now?" "Right now," Michael confirmed, his voice firm but not harsh. "And Lisa, you're coming too. I want to hear what you think." By noon, the lobby had transformed into an impromptu meeting room. Jen, a middle-aged woman with short chestnut hair and tired eyes, sat at a table, nervously clutching a pen. Clayton, the regional manager in an expensive but slightly rumpled suit, stood by the window, his face tense. Lisa sat in the corner, holding a notepad, her gaze darting between Michael and the others. Two other employees, a janitor named Tom and a cook from the hotel cafe, Marcus, stood off to the side, clearly unaccustomed to such gatherings. Michael stood before them, hands in his pockets, posture relaxed. But when he spoke, his voice filled the room. "I bought this hotel because I believed I could make it special," he began. "A place where people, guests, and staff feel valued. But yesterday, I learned my managers failed. Gary kicked me out because I smelled bad. He yelled at Lisa because she was slow. And no one stopped him. Why?" Clayton cleared his throat, his voice cautious. Mr. Keaton, Gary was difficult, but he kept things under control. Complaints were minimal. Control. Michael echoed, his eyebrows rising. He kept people in fear. That's not control, it's tyranny. He looked at Jen. "You're a shift manager. Why didn't you step in?" Jen lowered her eyes. "I tried. But Gary. He always took over. I didn't want to lose my job. Michael nodded, not judging. I get it. But if you're too scared to speak up, nothing changes. He turned to Clayton. And you? You were supposed to oversee this place. Why am I finding out about problems when I'm getting kicked out of my own hotel? Clayton flushed. I didn't know it was that bad. I checked reports, numbers. Numbers don't show how people feel, Michael said sharply. You're fired, Clayton. I want someone who sees people, not just numbers. Clayton froze, his mouth opening, but no words came. Jen flinched, and Tom and Marcus exchanged stunned glances. Lisa clutched her notepad, her eyes wide. Michael continued, his voice softening. Jen, you're staying. But I want you to run the hotel. You know how things work, and I believe you can do better. Lisa, you'll be her assistant. Learn, ask questions, speak up if something's wrong. Tom, Marcus, you're part of this too. I want you all to think about how to make Crestview a place people want to return to. Jen blinked, her eyes glistening. You're serious? I don't know if I can handle it. You can, Michael said. I'll be here to help. But the key is to listen, to guests, to staff, to each other. This isn't about rules. It's about respect. Lisa gave a small smile, her shoulders relaxing. Tom, the janitor, raised a hand. Mr. Keaton. Mike, can I say something? Our cleaning equipment's old. Guests complain about cleanliness, but we can't keep up. Michael nodded. Make a list. New equipment will be here in a week. What else? Marcus, the cook, spoke up. The cafe could be better. The menu's outdated. System. People want something fresh. We'll do it, Michael said. We'll hire a chef who knows modern cuisine. Got any ideas? And so, the conversation began, tentative at first, then lively. The staff shared thoughts they'd kept bottled up for years. Michael listened, nodded, and took notes. He didn't promise miracles, but his sincerity sparked hope in them. A month later, Crestview Inn began to transform. New cleaning equipment arrived. The cafe got a fresh menu, and rooms were renovated. Jen, now the manager, proved to be a natural leader, while Lisa, her assistant, blossomed, learning to interact confidently with guests. Ed and Carol returned, this time with friends, and left a 5-star review, noting how the hotel had come alive. Michael didn't stay in Ohio forever. Projects, filming, and life called him elsewhere. But he checked in with Jen regularly by phone and visited every few months, always in the same pickup, always in that worn leather jacket. Each visit was an event, not because he was a star, but because he was the man who showed change was possible. One evening, standing by the lobby window, Michael gazed at the neon sign, now glowing steadily without flickering. Lisa, handing him a coffee, said softly, "You changed everything, Mike. Not just the hotel. You changed us." He smiled, his eyes reflecting the sign's light. "You changed yourselves. I just gave you a push." He didn't know what lay ahead, whether Crestview would become a model for his other hotels or remain a unique experiment. But as he climbed into his pickup, the familiar scent of leather and the road filling his senses, hope pulsed in his chest. One small step, one conversation in a stuffy lobby, had changed everything. And maybe, just maybe, it was only the beginning.